Okay, I think we're about ready to start again. So welcome everyone to this City Council regular meeting this Monday evening, February 5th. I now call the meeting to order. I invite everyone in the chamber to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
With pleasure, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Hedges.
Here.
Councilmember Lee.
Here.
Councilmember Lorraine.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Newsom.
Here.
Mayor Diaz-Nash.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I will ask our city clerk if any notifications or requests for virtual meeting participation have been received from any members of the council due to just cause or emergency circumstance.
We do not have any requests.
Thank you for that update. We are excited to be here in person with options for those who choose not to be in person to participate virtually. There are several ways to participate. For those attending in person, please complete a yellow speaker slip and hand it to the clerk. If participating remotely, use the raise your hand feature in Zoom and you will be called on at the appropriate time. If calling in via phone, please press star 9 to raise your hand, and when called upon, press star 6 to unmute. These options for public comment will remain available until I close the public comment period for each specific item. Our first ceremonial item is the I Voted sticker competition winners and recognition of their amazing work. So I would like to welcome members of the city's Generation Voter team to present on the competition.
Hello, my name is Jessica Rowe, and I am the head of Generation Voter for the San Mateo Youth Activities Council. Generation Voter is a youth-led, nonpartisan initiative that is ran through the Youth Activities Council. Our goal is to educate young people on the importance of elections and how much their voice matters and their vote makes a difference. We also strive to increase the accessibility of election information to the youth community through pre-registration voting drives, which allows us to increase youth civic participation and educate the youth. We are excited to be here tonight to share our hard work and impact. Here's Justin to tell you more.
For the past 2 years, we've been hosting pre-registration drives at San Mateo schools, including Aragon High School and San Mateo. But don't worry, we're planning to expand much, much more. We're planning to expand to other schools, including Hillsdale, and we're planning to expand to public locations as well. Through our multiple pre-registration drives, we have managed to pre-register over 100 teens, and we're going to go on strong. Our most recent event was the I Voted sticker contest, which we have Lippy over here to explain.
So like Justin said, we hosted a I Voted sticker contest, which was open to youth living or studying in San Mateo. Applicants under the age of 18 submitted designs containing the words I voted into a ballot box designed by our Generation Voter team, which were placed at the main library and here in City Hall. We received submission from 20 kids, and then the Youth Activities Council as a whole voted on the stickers, and we found 3 winners divided into 3 age group brackets, and we gave both the Youth Activities Council and kids across San Mateo exposure to the voting process. Tonight, the winners are being recognized by the City Council for their wonderful contribution to the democratic process, and the winning stickers will be made available at all voting locations in San Mateo for the upcoming March primary election.
Mayor, you have certificates for them?
So now before everybody sits down, we have some certificates to share with the winners of our competition. So if the winners could come up
to provide a comment, you can. Or you can choose not to.
Yes, sure.
And then the mayor's bringing down.
Yeah, hold on one second. Councilmember Hedges wants to say
This
one
is
thing.
very opportune time for me because I dropped my ballot in the box here at the city today, so I'm going to put one of these stickers on. Thank you.
Why not all three? Right?
I'm not sure I have room for all three of them, but I'll try.
These are a little bit bigger than the stickers you designed. So, who is Ayana? That's you. Okay, Ayana, this is for you in recognition of your work and the fact that you are a winner in the I Voted competition. Thank you very much. And we have some special pick your stickers. Which one did you design? This one? Okay, well then these are for you. There we go. So let's take a picture and congratulate Ayana. Now, we have another one. This is the best part about the job. I get to do wonderful things. This is for Safina Sid. That's Safina. Okay, Safina. This is in recognition, the City of San Mateo, in partnership with Generation Voter, hereby recognizes Safina Sid as an I Voted sticker competition winner. Congratulations. And I bet I know which one you did. Okay. So here we are, the third one. A certificate of recognition. The City of San Mateo, in partnership with Generation Voter, hereby recognizes Olivia Chan as an I Voted sticker competition winner. Congratulations, Olivia, and here are your stickers. Absolutely. And parents, get your photos going, yes. Yeah. Come on over here. I vote, yes. So congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you register to vote when you're old enough to do so as well. Okay, thank you so much. Did you get all three of them? Oh, good. I want the record to show that Councilmember Hedges managed to get all three of the stickers on his blazer or his suit. Here, stand up, be our model. See, there we go. So there we go. We practice what we preach. Thank you all so much for past, present, and future. All right, now we go on to another wonderful moment, Ceremonial Chamber of Commerce 2023 update. And we have Erica Wood, the President and CEO of the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce, to share the good news.
Thank you so much. That was a great item. Oh my gosh, what a nice way to start your meeting. Well, good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, city staff. My name is Erica Wood. I'm the CEO of the San Mateo Area Chamber of Commerce. I am so excited to have an opportunity to share a few accomplishments, some of our work and opportunities for the future. And I first just wanted to start with a huge thank you to all of you. You have been a critical partner, investor, and supporter of the Chamber, enabling us to work toward our mission of promoting a vibrant local economy and community. So thank you. So next slide. The first thing that I wanted to talk about are some wonderful changes to our basic membership structure. We really want to emphasize a value-based model. We want to provide benefits that are aligned with member needs and what we hear. And so, for example, oftentimes a business will say to us, I really need help with marketing. So our Be More Visible package is all about them. We'll help them with promotions, web presence, social media, among other benefits. We also want to make it easier to join the chamber and lower the barrier to entry. So if you're a new business just getting started, maybe you want to re-engage with us and you're not ready to buy into one of our premium packages, you can join us at the reduced price of $50, which is our Look and Learn introductory package. So just to give you a little bit of a snapshot of things we're doing with our member services to really grow and diversify our member base. And of course, while membership is core to what we do, I like to say that we are so much more than a member organization. So we can go to the next slide. Partnering and partnership is one of the important things that we do. We can't go it alone. We have to have partnerships to extend our reach and impact. And I'm really proud to say that we have prioritized building a relationship and a partnership with the Downtown San Mateo Association this year. We worked together in November on the Shop Small, Win Big campaign that you all were part of. This was part of the National Small Business Saturday movement. You helped us select our winners at your first meeting in December, which was great. We also had an opportunity to partner with a small but mighty group of amazing businesses on 25th and put on the Winter Wonder Walk. And again, this was all about getting people downtown and experiencing, I think, one of the most charming neighborhood shopping districts that we have in San Mateo. And sometimes it feels overlooked, right? Because it's not Hillsdale, it's not downtown. So these are the kinds of things that we want to be doing more of. It was great. In one of the pictures there, you'll see familiar faces. Our mayor, our city manager joined us. And I think for a first-time event, the thing that I would highlight was just the tremendous sense of community spirit and pride. So next slide. We, of course, then at the end of September had our Fall Fest 2023. We described it as the best block party on the peninsula with fun for all ages, really about celebration, activating our downtown. Of course, it was right on B Street. And while it was intended to be fun, and it was, the larger goal was really about how we could create an experience that gets people downtown, how we can really showcase and lift up the best of what San Mateo has to offer. And we did that by making some really intentional choices in the event planning and design. We expanded last year to include not only B Street, but Baldwin. We wanted to showcase the recently opened Brickline mixed-use development facility and project. We provided booth opportunities for local businesses, community organizations to promote their services. And we didn't bring in any food trucks because we said, you have cuisine from all around the world in downtown, enjoy it. We had more than 50 sponsors support this event, so we think we're on to something and on our way to making it a signature event for our community going forward. Next slide. And promoting local partnerships, activating public places wouldn't be possible without people. We at the Chamber like to say everyone has a role to play in shaping the future and building better and strong communities. And of course, that's where our leadership program comes in. We offer an opportunity for leaders from business, government, and business sectors to come together to develop some skills, understand how they can make a difference on challenging issues, and grow their network in the process. The program started over 30 years ago, and it's been going ever since. And you see here the graduation of our Class 31, of which Councilmember Lee is an alum, so very happy about that. Next slide. And then, of course, one of the most, I like to say, powerful tools that we have in our toolkit for affecting change is the ability to engage in the public policy process. And the chamber, staff, and board were so proud to endorse the Flood-Free San Mateo initiative, Measure CC a few years before that. And these two things will bring millions of dollars for critical city services, improvements to stormwater infrastructure that are not only going to benefit this generation, but frankly, generations to come. So, final couple of slides here. We can move to the next one. You're going to be seeing, if you haven't already, this symbol. This is our symbol for the Best of San Mateo. This is a big community and business engagement effort that the Chamber is undertaking, really encouraging people to vote for their favorite businesses, organizations, and the things that make this place so special. It will culminate with a business awards gala. This is something the Chamber used to do in the past and put on hold because of COVID. We'll bring it back to honor the winners of this wonderful Best of campaign. And then we can move to the final slide. You know, I've been in my role a little over a year ago. A little over a year, I should say. I was hired to really think about how to build on what the Chamber had been and create what the Chamber should become. So I listened and observed your Blue Sky session on Saturday, and when I heard the list of ideas and priorities from continuing to support small business, beautification, addressing commercial vacancy, as well as things like rolling out the general plan, community and voter engagement, these are all things in my mind that align with the economic development and civic roles the Chamber can and should play. So please know we are all in. We look forward to continued partnership with the city, and thank you, thank you, thank you. Any questions?
I want you to tell us how we can start to nominate Best of San Mateo.
You can go to our website and you will see a link to a beautiful ballot. There are businesses in a wide variety of categories, and the amazing thing that's wonderful about this is it's businesses of all types, small to large, you name it, everyone can participate.
That's great. Thank you. Can't wait to start voting.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you so much, and congratulations. All right. Madam Clerk, we're moving on to the consent calendar. Could you please read the consent calendar?
With pleasure, Mayor. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered by the council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion. If discussion is desired, that item may be removed and considered separately. Item number 3, City Council meeting minutes approval. Item number 4, Senior Citizens Commission Appointment Subcommittee Appointment Recommendation. Item number 5, Police Department Classification Updates. Item number 6, San Mateo Police Sergeants Association Salary Adjustment. Item number 7, Martin Luther King Jr. Park Pump Shed Construction Contract. Item number 8, Traffic Engineering Staff Augmentation and Design Services Amendment. Item number 9, Fiber Optic Network Facilities in the Public Right-of-Way Agreement. And item number 10, County of San Mateo Compost Quality Improvement Campaign Memorandum of Understanding.
Thank you very much. Is there any member of the council who would like to pull an item from the consent calendar? No? If there are any members of the public who wish to comment on any consent calendar item, now would be the time to make your comment. This is for consent calendar items only.
Mayor, I have no members of the public with speaker slips or raising hands.
All right, thank you very much. Then is there a motion from council to approve the consent calendar?
I make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Madam Clerk.
Deputy Mayor Newsom?
Yes.
Councilmember Hedges?
Yes.
Councilmember Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Lorraine?
Yes.
Mayor Diaz-Nash?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much. So now we're going to move on to the public comments section. Members of the public wishing to comment on any item not appearing on the agenda may address the City Council at this time. State law prevents council from taking action on any matter not on the agenda. Your comments may be referred to staff to follow up. This public comment section is generally limited to 15 minutes. However, that is subject to council discretion and can be extended if council wishes to do so. If needed, an opportunity for additional public comment may also be provided later on in the agenda. And one more note. We welcome speakers providing public comment, but please be advised this is a limited public forum. As such, speakers must stay on topic if speaking to a particular agenda item. And if speaking during general public comment, they must address matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of this city. If speakers fail to follow these rules, they will be warned, and if they continue to disregard our rules, their opportunity to speak will be ended. So, Madam Clerk.
Apologize, thank you. We have 5 in-person public comment and 1 remote. So
3 minutes.
Okay. So thank you. Our first speaker in person is Michael Sevilla, followed by Kathleen Wells.
Esteemed members of the San Mateo City Council, I stand before you today with a heavy heart, burdened by the growing inequity at Poplar Creek Golf Course, a cherished public asset in our community. The 14-day reservation window offered to VIP members casts a long shadow over the accessibility and enjoyment of this beloved course for all San Mateo residents. Poplar Creek has always held a special place in the heart of our city. It's a haven for families, friends, and neighbors to gather, unwind, and connect over a shared love for the game. However, the current reservation system creates a 2-tiered reality, where exclusivity trumps inclusivity. The 14-day window effectively shuts out non-VIP members from prime tee times, leaving them scrambling for scraps at the last minute. This not only disrupts their enjoyment, but also breeds feelings of frustration and resentment. It paints a picture of a public course catering to a select few, while the majority struggle to access its facilities. This isn't just about golf. It's about the very fabric of our community. Public spaces like Poplar Creek should foster connection and equality, not division and privilege. The current system isolates residents, pushing them away from a shared experience that has enriched our city for generations. Imagine the disappointment of a young child eager to learn the game with their family, only to find that all the weekend slots booked weeks in advance. Imagine the frustration of a senior citizen, their only form of exercise and social interaction relegated to twilight hours due to a lack of early tea times. These are the real human costs of an unfair reservation system. I urge you, the esteemed members of our City Council, to consider the impact of your decisions on the very people you represent. Let us dismantle this arbitrary barrier and create a system that prioritizes fairness and accessibility for all. Let Poplar Creek once again be a place where everyone, regardless of their membership status, can gather, compete, and celebrate the joy of the game. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Kathleen Wells, followed by Kelly Ryerson, and then Vikash Bhuvandan.
Hi. Hello again. I'm here to talk about the 5G internet facilities again, and specifically the city's authority to control the placement of these facilities in our neighborhoods. The storm last night was a very scary reminder of how these utility poles where these installations are being placed create a severe hazard. One of my friends at school at my son's school this morning told me there were sparks shooting out of a utility pole on Oak Street last night. She was at the city hall this morning to deal with it. The fire department was alerted. Anyways, these are real fire hazards. So I just want to talk about this while that storm is still recent in all of our minds. There are specific sections and provisions in the master license agreement with Crown Castle that give the city authority, specific authority, when there are any potential hazards or unsafe conditions, or keeping in mind the additional load on the pole that the proposed equipment would create, right? So as these strong winds are blowing through our neighborhoods and blowing down trees, the more junk that's on these poles it exacerbates the risk when they topple over, okay? This is in addition to the advice that our group's council provided, that the federal law does not preempt the placement of 5G internet facilities in our neighborhoods, okay? So you have authority there that I think the city council may not understand. There is no federal preemption of the placement of 5G internet facilities, and I think we've all established now through the record that that's what these facilities are for. So again, the city has authority to stop the placement of these facilities directly in front of our homes. Please stop it. It is haphazard and it is dangerous, and other cities are stopping this from happening. And we here in San Mateo are exposed, perhaps because we don't have as much money as these other cities to fight Crown Castle. That is the residents, okay? So please keep that in mind when you look at the cities. Carmel and Sanitas, other cities with more Mill Valley, more financial resources and, let's say, more privileged demographics that don't have these littering their neighborhoods directly in front of their homes. We also have really small lots in San Mateo, maybe because we don't have as many financial resources as those people. So when they're in front of our homes, they're literally like a dozen or a couple dozen feet away from our kids' bedrooms. Not acceptable. Please stop it. You have authority to do so. Please do so now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kelly Ryerson, followed by Vikash.
Hi, everyone. Miss seeing you for 2 days. I'm still part of the group, but my purple T-shirt is finally worn enough that it is now in the laundry. So, there are two things that I wanted to talk about tonight. First, as you know, I did a public records request, and one of the emails that came through made it clear that it appears that Crown Castle asked the city if the city could hand over the rights of the final inspection on the electrical parts of the tower. And so the city said, well, and I'm going to give you a copy of this email. The city said, well, we don't know about that. That means that the building department would be entirely out of the inspection process, so we don't know. And then in the end, they actually agreed to go with it. So as far as I can see, as of right now, we don't have anyone from the city that's going to inspect the towers and their electrical work. That's super dangerous, given what Kathleen just spoke of. The second thing I want to talk about, because we talk so much about the details of the law in this issue, and I want to go back just a little bit and ask you and tell you that I wonder how many of you have been touched by chronic illness. Because I have, and it's an extremely, extremely dark place to be. And that's why I care so much about this issue. And it can be cancer, which my family has been touched by, which is heartbreaking. It can be other things. And we sit here and you guys it was fun hearing about the Fall Fest. And so cute seeing these children here with these stickers. And there are all these joyful things that are going on in this city. And if we are putting these towers in front of houses and making people sick, this is so unethical and heartbreaking. And it's taking the joy out of people's lives, of the residents that are here. And it's not a question of if this will happen. It's going to happen. And on those dark, dark days when you have a migraine or you're dealing with chemotherapy or, God forbid, your child has cancer, you're going to look back and you're going to think, we could have stopped it. And we have the power to do it. And hopefully you five feel that we've been spoon feeding it enough, because now God knows we've introduced you to our lawyers, and anyone you are willing to talk to, we'll provide to you. But let's not make this chronic disease epidemic worse. And as I've mentioned before, it's going to hit the lower income people even harder than those that have resources. So environmental justice is important. Let's do it. And thank you so much for your time and continued attention on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Dr. Vikash.
So with the strong winds last night, this shirt fell out of the sky and landed on me.
Yeah.
And I represent the 5G group. I am standing once again in hopes that you will propose or support the initiation of an emergency ordinance to help protect the community, our community, from the biologically harmful effects that are emitted from the 5G broadband towers. They're not cell phone towers. The voters rely on you for these types of protective acts, and your action will be reflected this November when it's time to vote. It is no-brainer when the Kramer compared these towers to the same waves emitted by microwave ovens. But yet he avoids to mention that a microwave is heavily shielded to protect the end user. If we shield these towers, it won't work. You can't get your streamed TV, you can't get your streamed movies, you can't play your video games. So we can't shield these microwaves that are in your microwave oven like it is when you buy a consumer product. So it's fundamentally common sense. In light of previous approvals of incomplete permit applications and recent aggressive behavior by Crown Castle, it is obvious, if not imperative, that we initiate an emergency ordinance tonight. Your actions are being documented. This is not prohibition. This is not prohibition as Crown Castle says it is. Okay, prohibition was resolved with alcohol, but yet we still regulate it. There's regulations against moonshine, so we can regulate against these towers as well. It's not considered prohibition. Also, it appears that Crown Castle has threatened the city with an appeal against a potential emergency ordinance. In my opinion, there's no Supreme Court in this land that will allow such an appeal to stand. A city should have every right, and does have every right, to regulate what they want and what they don't want first. It's all written, it's all in writing. My colleagues Kelly and Irina have gone through this numerous times. Please use your powers to once again initiate an emergency act tonight for the public health and safety of San Mateo residents. If each city council member acts based on their own free will, then we will have the support to move forward. Our city charter shields you from influences such as city members, city managers, city attorneys to define what is an emergency. The state has already defined that for you. Please act tonight. You have enough information to make a decision. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. And moving to our remote speaker, Michael Grubb, please go ahead.
Yes, hello. I'm paraphrasing Richard Daley, the famous mayor of Chicago, who stated the key to being a successful mayor is to ensure the garbage is picked up and the trains run on time. Now that we have a new mayor and a new vice mayor, I hope they and the city council will take that advice. I hope you all will work with the city manager and department heads to concentrate on the nuts and bolts of running the city. We have spent enough time over the last year on the general plan, street murals, the pedestrian mall that isn't, affordable housing, and other initiatives to benefit a small portion of San Mateo residents. The streets of the city are still in terrible shape. El Camino Real is full of potholes and the entire street needs repaving. The city councils of Palo Alto, Mountain View, and Los Altos have pressured Caltrains into repaving El Camino Real, which they say they will do. I would hope this council will have the initiative and the backbone to also confront Caltrans and have them make the street that runs through our town, drivable. There are intersections in this town with no street signs, including Delaware and Fifth. If you drive up to that, you will not know where you are. There are street drains still completely plugged with standing water in them, including the one at Virginia and Fifth, and it has been that way for months. We do not have enough policemen, and driving in San Mateo continues to be dangerous. There is constant speeding, running of red lights, and reckless driving that is done with impunity. As an example, West 3rd Avenue continues to be a speedway. Many places need speed bumps, many streets need speed bumps and left turn signals, and they do not exist. We need medians down El Camino Real to separate the traffic. We need trees and bushes planted in those medians to make the entrance to our city, which is so ugly, particularly from the south, to make it attractive. I hope and ask that the city council, the mayor, and the vice mayor will concentrate on initiatives and actions that will benefit all the citizens of San Mateo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have no more public comment.
All right, with that, I will close public comment and bring it back for our next item, which is old business, wastewater treatment plant upgrade and expansion project and furnishing services for new administration building, appropriation and agreement. And I believe that Derek is going to come up and give us a presentation, engineer manager from the Department of Public Works. Thank you so much.
Hit the button.
Good evening, Mayor Diaz-Nash and council members. My name is Derek Dehegan. I'm Acting Deputy Director for Public Works. And tonight I'm going to be presenting on the topic of wastewater treatment plant upgrade and expansion, specifically the appropriation and agreement for furnishing services for the new administration building. Tonight's agenda will consist of a clean water program overview along with more specifics on our wastewater treatment plant update, specifically the progress update, budget and schedule update, furnishings agreement, as well as upcoming construction key milestones to finish and close out the project. Tonight's recommendation is to adopt a resolution authorizing an appropriation in the amount of $7 million for the sewer fund, from the sewer fund reserves to the capital projects funds for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade and expansion project, and approving an alternative purchasing procedure to award an agreement to One Workplace to provide furnishings, design, project management, and installation services for the wastewater treatment plant's new administration building in the amount of $400,297.76. Also, to establish a contingency reserve in the amount of $40,000 associated with that agreement, and authorize the Public Works Director to execute the agreement in substantially the form presented and issue change orders within the contingency amount. Now for the Clean Water Program overview, here on the slide is a summary of the drivers and goals. Back in 2009, the Regional Water Quality Control Board issued a cease and desist order to City of San Mateo, the town of Hillsborough, and Crystal Springs County Sanitation District, requiring us to eliminate sanitary sewer overflows from our system. Because of this cease and desist order, in 2014 and 2015, we established the Clean Water Program with these 4 goals: to replace the aging infrastructure in our facilities, build wet weather sewer system capacity to prevent overflows, meet current and future regulatory requirements, and align with the sustainability goals of the 2 agencies of Foster City and San Mateo. To further summarize the Clean Water Program, it is approximately a $1 billion 10-year effort with the focus of wet weather management. We have been doing collection system rehabilitation and capacity improvements, along with wastewater treatment plant upgrades, specifically around nutrient removal, and we are anticipated to complete the program in fiscal year 25-26. The image shown to the right was from 2018 and shows various projects all throughout the city that we have since been working on. This is the current status of the Clean Water Program capacity improvements. The items in green are either pipelines or dots representing pump station projects, as well as the treatment plant and underground flow equalization system projects. Some of the projects are now completed, shown in green. Some are still in construction, shown in yellow. And a few of the projects are still in design and will be advertised and awarded hopefully in the next year or so. And some of the projects shown in the previous slide have been eliminated from here because we were able to optimize some of the designs and approaches based off new information. Now to shift focus on the specifics of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. It is the largest capital improvement program and project in the history of the city. The objectives are to replace the existing liquid treatments process facilities. And I'm not going to name all the different facilities, but they are there for you to review. We are also going to achieve early actor status on nutrient removal. We are increasing wet weather capacity from 60 million gallons per day up to 78 because of different components we're adding to the facility and throughout the system. And in addition, we are going to be Title 22 effluent ready, which is for the future of recycled water of this facility. The next few slides are a series of aerials and images just to show what the project looked like before and throughout construction. So this image just shows the existing wastewater treatment plant in the bottom and the Detroit Drive site to the north where we have been constructing. This is in May 2020, approximately a year after the award of the construction contract. May 2021 with the piles and foundations. A few months later in November, where we start doing wall, rebar, and framework as well. March 2023, you could see a lot more of the process facilities being built. And lastly, just this month, I took this screenshot over the weekend. This is showing the process facilities with the bridge crane shown in the top left in red there. Just over the past 2 weeks, we've been having a lot of meetings with the contractor, really pressing them on the activities that they need to complete. And they are under pressure to get this project get it done, and they shared us this information and this graphic here. They have indicated that the cost and schedule on their end has been impacted, and there have been unprecedented COVID, supply chain, and inflation impacts that have impacted their delivery of the project. And in terms of cost, there have been equipment and materials escalations on their part. There have been workplace COVID protocols that they have had to integrate and implement. California laws have changed, and there has been unplanned labor escalation, which has all increased their costs. As for schedule, there has been an unprecedented lead time on certain materials and equipment, the times and availability as well, labor productivity issues, and limited qualified labor for some of the projects, not just this project, but many of the projects throughout the Clean Water Program. And so the graphic to the right, some of it is blurry, but there are some highlights that I wanted to point out here. In blue there, it shows April 2020, when we finalized our design and submitted to Sunt, our contractor. They then took it to their subs and obtained bids from all their different subs, electrical subs, concrete subs, et cetera. After we received those bids in April 2020, we went through a value engineering exercise to optimize and reduce the final price, and we were able to reduce it down by $30 million. And at that time, we took that negotiated price and GMP3, or guaranteed maximum price, for package 3 and awarded it in October 2020, shown there in the yellow vertical bar. And shortly after, they executed the contracts and started construction. But now, when you look at the various lines that start to cascade vertically throughout the timeline there, you could see that all these different lines are representative of the different prices associated with the commodities needed to deliver and build this project. These are concrete, this is concrete pipes, conduits, ductile iron pipes, fiberglass pipes. All these different types of commodities have skyrocketed since we were able, as a city, to award the contract. So we narrowly avoided having to face a lot of these prices because we were able to lock in the price through a guaranteed maximum price delivery method. Now, this was based off of the original base scope. Since then, we have had change orders, and those change orders have had to be priced according to the current prices. Now, the Clean Water Program estimated costs at completion include all these different items from project planning, project management, procurement, actual construction, engineering, et cetera. I won't have to read all of them, but they're there for you to review. They also include design gaps and added scope, such as the Title 22 recycled water, emergency generator fuel storage systems to make sure that during wet weather, if there are power outages, we could run this facility for 72 hours straight. Along with additional stormwater pollution prevention plan measures that have increased because of the amount of storm wet weather issues we've been having and conflicts associated with rebar piping and pipe supports. Thirdly, we've had to deal with third-party utility costs and coordination, specifically with Cal Water and PG&E, to make sure that we have fire suppression water at the facility as well as the appropriate electrical and gas services to the facility. And we are also carrying potential costs associated with actualized and potential delays with all these different soft costs and construction costs and extended insurance costs as well. So this is what is included in the estimate at completion that I'm about to show you next. Actually, this here is the estimated construction cost at completion. So there were 3 different packages. Package 1 was site preparation, package 2 was foundations and process, and package 3 is process facilities, each awarded at different dates. So in total, the awarded contract amount was $430 million, and council at those times of award have authorized a total of $26.27 million. So in general, based off of what has been authorized to date, the contingency amount has equated to about 6.1% of the construction value. Now, the italicized text at the bottom shows that most typical construction contracts have a contingency amount of typically 10% of the construction value, and we're not there yet. Some even higher risk construction contracts have contingencies of up to 20% of the construction value. And so right now, in between the 2 green columns there, we have potential contingency needed in the future for the construction contract. We're estimating about $14.65 million. This is all based off of items that are known to be coming, some are unknown, some will be rejected, some will be negotiated down, and some will be accepted. But conservatively, we have to hold all those values to make sure that we have appropriate budget there in case all of them come to realization and actualization there. So a potential cumulative contingency total will bring it up to $40.92 million, which is approximately 9.5% of the construction contract amount, still under the typical 10% value. And the potential construction contract amount, if all those potential costs come to actualization, will be about $472 million in the bottom right there. Now, the previous slide was specifically just the construction contract. This project is part of a bigger project account, the wastewater treatment plant upgrade and expansion there, shown on the bottom row. Along with this project is part of the larger Clean Water Program. So the Clean Water Program, when we first baselined the budget, was in 2017, it was baselined at $991 million. The current estimate of completion is just under $1 billion, and so a variance percentage of less than 1%, 0.8% over $1 billion program, to me is relatively good over the span of 10 years and having faced the COVID supply chain and inflation issues that we've been facing. In addition, for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade, that $472 million construction contract value is included as part of this project account, which also includes all the engineering, project management, construction management, et cetera. This one, we're looking at a variance percentage of 7.4%. And for this account, we have committed and adopted a budget to date of $535.9 million. We are tonight requesting a $7 million appropriation to address some cash flow needs to close out this fiscal year and start the next fiscal year. And part of that $7 million is because there have been change orders, and we have to make sure that they are able to complete the project so that they can complete that work so that they can complete the project on time, which is currently identified as August 2025 next year. And this current budget cycle, we are going to be evaluating the cost even more and requesting an additional fiscal year 24-25 budget increase just to fully fund the project. After next year's budget request and adoption, we don't intend to add any more money to this account. This slide was originally presented in 2020. On the far left and right in green, we show that the program started in 2015 and is still showing to close out in calendar year 2026. In blue, we show the treatment plant project starting in 2019. We're still on track to have a substantial completion of 2024, although we are a few months behind schedule in terms of delivering the new facilities because of some challenges with the contractor delivering certain scopes of work due to supply chain issues. For example, some of the electrical components that typically take a few months to deliver are now slated to take 62 weeks to deliver, over a year. This is what we're facing on some of these projects right now. And we're still on track here to close out the project in 2025. And then lastly, just because it is the second biggest project of the Clean Water Program shown there in magenta, is the Underground Flow Equalization System project. We started in 2020. We are also delayed of this because of supply chain issues and weather delays. So we're targeting a spring 2024 project closeout for that project. But that project has successfully to date, or this past wet weather season, since it started in December, I believe it has stored 8 million gallons to date so far. So that's 8 million gallons of preventing sanitary sewer overflows in our system, which is, to me, a success, even though that project is not fully operational yet. So upcoming treatment plant construction key milestones, the administration building, we are looking to complete that by May 2024. And in order to do that, we need that one workplace furnishings agreement approved tonight. We also have clean water testing shown there in July 2024 when we start running clean water through all the process facilities to get it ready for actual wastewater, and looking to have the new processes operational by October 2024. And hopefully, if all goes well, we could have a ribbon cutting shortly after that. But given if there are delays and we don't want to schedule it during wet weather when we need the treatment plant staff ready to go to operate the system, we may postpone it to an alternative ribbon cutting in spring 2025. And lastly, project closeout in sometime between June and August next year. And lastly, I just wanted to showcase the recommendation again here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and please thank all your colleagues for all the work that's gone on for such a long time. This is, as you said, the largest capital project in our city's history, and commendation that it has been managed within the percentage that you've talked about. So with that, may I open it up for questions by my council colleagues? Who has a question? Councilmember Hedges.
I live within thumping distance of the sewer plant, and know that we had some quality issues with the old plant. And a lot of this started in the 60s. The plants were so old, and there have been a lot of federal money come in. How many of these updates on cost overruns have we experienced in the life of do you know offhand? I'm just curious.
I believe hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds of change orders.
That's my memory too.
And we're still going through hundreds more.
I'm so sympathetic with the logistics system and trying to get material now. The clean water coming out of it, I'm very excited about it. And the last time I asked a question I was told it's probably too salty in its condition to use on landscape. So since we're moving very quickly to all electric, are we going to have the solar and the battery backup to run the plant in power outages?
The admin facility is going to be a LEED certified facility, so there are going to be I believe there are going to be solar panels on there. But for the rest of the process facilities, we are looking at a future evaluation to be completed to take the biogas and methane that is produced out of the processes to see how we could capture that, maybe work with PG&E to get some savings and credit back into our system and potentially use that to even power some of the facilities in the future. So that's an evaluation that has not yet started, but we are looking to put together and scope and our request for proposals out for some of our engineering community to evaluate.
So the importance of getting that clean water all along Mariners Island to Edgewater Island are large homeowners associations. And Estero has required, at some expense, the homeowners association splitting the water for the homes and the landscape. And so if we could run a pipe along that area, we could use a tremendous amount of the fresh water that will be coming out of there if we can get the saline out of it, so that we can use it on landscape. It'd be a boon. It'd really reduce our overall water use out of Estero. So I'm really looking forward to a time, hopefully it'll be within my lifetime, when I can see. I don't have anything else. I just had questions on this. Obviously, this is necessary.
Okay. Councilmember Lorraine, do you have any questions?
Thank you, through the mayor. Derek, thank you for the presentation. I feel like you shared some slides that discussed some of the value that we've gotten out of a guaranteed maximum price earlier at the onset, from some of the inflationary pressures we've seen, here and elsewhere on supplies and in addition to other costs. But you also mentioned that the scope of the project has changed, and when the scope has changed, we've had to absorb some of the costs. Could you talk a little more about what prompted the changes in scope?
Good question.
Some of it was design gaps that during the course of design, the designer may have missed. And throughout construction, we then found the contractor would identify the need for additional design, which prompted additional scope. There's also unknown conditions, such as when we're constructing a pipeline and there's subsurface conditions such as other utilities that we may not have foreseen. Other items could be have been like being able to introduce new infrastructure to meet the Title 22 recycled water requirements, and also increasing the scope to allow for 72 hours of backup temporary generator fuel storage. These are safety measures as well as operational needs that improve and provide value to the project and to the community.
Thank you. I also had a question about how much we feel we have left to complete the project, and how much we're projecting the last fiscal year's worth of budget will be required. I feel like when I looked at a slide that you had earlier, it looked as though right now we're projecting the final cost of the wastewater treatment plant upgrade piece to be something around, I want to say like $570 million. And after, assuming council approves tonight's request for $7 million, and adding that to what's been approved and used to date, it seems that there might be about, is it about $30 million that we are currently projecting we'll need for the next and final year?
Let me go back to one of the slides here and we could do the quick math. So we have $570 36 million adopted to date. If today's approval to, appropriate is $7 million more, so whatever the sum of that is, and subtract that out of 572, that would be the amount that we would intend to appropriate.
Okay, and this year, if we take what has already been allocated or appropriated, and if we were to add the 7 million that's being requested tonight, if I recall from the report, I think it's like about 18, 19, maybe 20 million for this, I guess through the end of this fiscal year.
Oh, yes, for this fiscal year, we had originally adopted 11.210 million. And so, yeah, the 7 million would bring it up to 18.
So I guess this is just I'm kind of taking a long walk to ask about, in the next year, are we projecting, how might the remainder and our, affect sewer rates? Will they be higher than perhaps we had projected before? And I guess another sort of question related to that is maybe, I don't know if you could talk a little bit about how much, maybe after this appropriation we have in sewer fund reserves and maybe just what you're sort of projecting will come about next year as a result of what we have left and what we may have in reserves, et cetera.
I'm not knowledgeable enough to know right now what the sewer fund revenue for the coming fiscal year is going to be. We are going through that budget cycle process right now. But what I can say is we raised rates last year. City Council approved a 5-year, 3% per year increase. And that was based off of the Clean Water Program estimated completion numbers at that time, along with other projects, CIP projects, operational needs, and maintenance needs over the span of the next 10 years or so. And so we worked with rate consultants along with our municipal advisors with our finance department to identify how much to raise rates there. And so the 3% per year is there. And given here on this slide that the Clean Water Program has a variance as a whole of 0.8% more, and keep in mind, as I mentioned, this estimated completion, or EAC, conservatively tracks all the risks, all the potential changes that we know right now, which we will continue to find and address, find mitigation measures to try to prevent them from being actualized or to negotiate down or reject completely. So we are hoping to bring that $999.2 million down back closer to the original baseline budget and reduce that variance. But with the 3% rate increases, I would think that we should be okay.
Thank you. No further questions from me.
It's through. I'll have another question. No, when everybody else is finished, I will.
All right, Councilmember Lee, do you have any questions?
I was hoping you could share a little bit about the new regulations for Title 22, and the council adopted a priority of bringing recycled water to our clean water program, and it's not necessarily this focus of this conversation, but I think for the public's interest, it would be helpful to at least get a little update about where we are and how far away the next phase is.
I would have to reach out to our Deputy Director Matt Fabry to answer that.
Good evening, through the mayor. As we mentioned, we do have salinity challenges with our wastewater, and so that's a big challenge to directly produce. We will be, at the end of this project, be able to produce water that meets the Title 22 standards in terms of bacteriological things. they're more the human health concerns, but when it comes to the salinity issue, which is not really part of Title 22, we've got challenges in terms of being able to have that water be useful for irrigation purposes. We also have the joint challenge that City of San Mateo is not a water purveyor, and so it would ultimately be for City of San Mateo residents something that Cal Water as the purveyor would have to be interested in receiving that water. We have had conversations with Cal Water about, where we are with the project, and we have raised some of these salinity issues to them, and they were a little bit surprised at how high the salinity was, so I think that was concerning to them. Obviously, Foster City, as a co-owner of the treatment plant, is a water purveyor. They could potentially also be a recipient of the water if they chose to do so. But where we've really been focusing our efforts is participating in the San Francisco Peninsula Regional Pure Water project, where we're in sort of partnership with Silicon Valley Clean Water, Foster City, SFPUC, other agencies, Cal Water included, to look at potentially putting in a purification facility at the Redwood Shores Silicon Valley Clean Water plant. So that project and effort is continuing, and so there's a basis of design report that's been developed for that. There's been discussions just in the last few weeks about rebranding so that we aren't going forward with the San Francisco Peninsula Regional Pure Water Project as the name of it. And I think the folks have been settling on Pure Water Peninsula, and which sort of ties into how San Francisco has their Pure Water San Francisco. So we're trying to build some synergies with other things that are happening around the Bay Area. So that continues. I think it's still going to be a significant time frame before anything is built on that. It's a very significant expense, and if we were to participate in terms of providing our effluent to that facility, a pipeline would have to be constructed all the way from our plant over to the Silicon Valley Clean Water Facility. The purification plant would have to be built. I think the estimates for that project are, $750 million to $1 billion. So got to come up with the money for that. So I think that it's still, a ways away, but we're continuing to participate in that, thinking that that is the potential ultimate solution. I think that good news is that the State Water Resources Control Board recently approved the regulations that allow for direct potable reuse of that water, which when we looked at the options with the purification facility, there's indirect potable reuse as a condition where we would potentially be piping that water up to the Crystal Springs Reservoir, where you have a residence time and it gets commingled with water in the reservoir before it becomes a drinking water source, and so that's what they call indirect potable reuse, whereas direct potable reuse is directly injecting the water into the drinking water system. So there's no buffering, there's no residence time, and so the State Water Board did just approve in the last month or so the regulations that go along to allow that direct potable reuse. So I think that opens up a lot of options in terms of how that facility and project could progress and to provide water in different ways than just going up to the reservoir, potentially maybe more cost effective than trying to build a pipeline and pumps all the way up to the reservoir. So all of that is continuing to move along.
Thank you.
Answer.
I'm so glad I asked. So I guess the other thing, speaking of money, whenever we come to, or whenever an additional appropriation comes to council, I always wish that Rich Lee was in the room to talk about, our former finance director, talk about some of the background of this project and how we went to DC and were able to get a low interest rate loan that has saved the city millions of dollars. And so, I wish that somebody here could talk about that, just because I think it's helpful context for the public as well to understand, where there have been opportunities to save millions of dollars. We have done that. We've gone above and beyond, literally, to DC to make those savings possible to bring back to the community. So, does anyone hold that history? Brad, you were here.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I was one of the fortunate ones to go back to DC to help foster that relationship and get us the WIFIA loans with support of our senators and congresswomen in the area as well. But yeah, we did get, I want to say, I'm going to probably get the number wrong, about $240 million in WIFIA money, and we also have some SRF money, the State Revolving Loan Fund money. Both of those are low interest loans that, as you indicated, saved our ratepayers millions of dollars over the course of time in paying those back.
Thank you so much. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Newsom.
Well, two questions, and you've already answered some of them, so thank you. The UFES, the underground flow equalization system, UFES. It is current. I was thrilled to hear it was currently used for our rains to the tune of 8 million gallons. How many will it be able to? And I'm getting a lot of pressure from the neighborhood because it's really in my district. All around the Expo Center, there's still quite a lot of construction. Is that also slated for the later this spring to be completed? Like, will the roads be closed up and normalized, or are we thinking that's still next year?
Yes. The underground flow equalization system project is not just the 5.3 million gallon storage facility at the event center. It also includes all the pipelines that we just installed, 30-inch pipelines on Saratoga and on Delaware, which have caused all the traffic control impacts throughout the last couple of years there. And yes, we do intend to hopefully open up the roads fully by springtime, March timeframe. Subject to weather conditions.
Of course.
And to answer your question about the volume, it can store 5.3 million gallons. This morning, our acting engineering manager had indicated that that it stored 2.6 or 2.8 million gallons just over yesterday's storm. And so, shortly after our treatment plant notifies us that it's ready to accept additional flows, we start to pump that facility out, and all that stored wastewater gets conveyed to the treatment plant for treatment. So over the past, I think it's 4 or 5 storms, we've stored approximately 8 million gallons total.
Again, I'm thrilled by the progress, and also not to have had to take those phone calls of what people have floating down their streets the last few weeks. So thank you for that. As far as gray water availability, I think you guys have addressed that, so thank you. But I did just want to make a comment, and I think I've mentioned this before, but for the last 4 years, I've worked in the city of Hayward, directly across the bridge. Their wastewater treatment plant, literally, you could throw, it's straight line visibility. They have a lot more industry than we do, obviously, but they've converted all of industry to doing all landscape work on purple pipe with gray water. And they've also done several of their athletic fields and parks. So the only reason why I mentioned it is, if we haven't already, I would suggest that we see how they're getting the saline level correct just across the bridge. And if I'm being overly ignorant, I apologize, but just if we haven't asked already, I would ask that we do some homework and figure out how they're doing that.
Yeah, through the mayor, Councilmember Newsom. I think that was some of our discussion earlier on, as Matt alluded to it. We are not a water purveyor, so there's some challenges there. It takes a great deal of infrastructure to put purple pipe in, right? Because we don't have anything that goes anywhere right now. And we thought a better solution to utilizing the resource that we have once we have this new treatment process was to get ourselves involved with the SFPUC Pure Water Project.
Sure.
And so that's where we kind of put our eggs in. I mean, if something comes up and we're able to do, because you're going to have to then add another treatment process, right, to get the salinity out. So where does it make sense to partner? And we felt that this was a bigger, more futuristic idea that we hope will come to fruition. But as Matt said too, it's several years down the road.
So most likely, across the bridge, they're using some additional processes to remove the saline level? Is that?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think maybe one of the differences is that we have our Marina Lagoon, and what the challenge that we see is that seasonally, when we have the lagoon come up to the summer operating levels, we'll see a pretty quick spike in our salinity. And so we do think that there's a direct connection between water in the lagoon, which is saline because we feed it from the bay, with that water getting into our sanitary sewer system. And we've done a lot of investigating, trying to see if there's, some smoking gun locations where there's, water pouring into a pipe or something. We have not been able to find those. We have done things where you can do smoke testing, where you do put, smoke bombs into your sewer system, and you can see where the smoke comes out. And it was before my time, but what staff have told me is that, we had smoke coming out of the ground all over the place, which indicates that we've got a lot of problems with probably probably both our sewer lines in terms of cracks in areas that water can get in, but also probably a lot in the private sewer laterals. And so we continue to do all of our work on our annual basin rehab, where we're going around once every year to each of our 5 basins to do TVing to figure out the condition of our system and make repairs where we see the higher degree of problems. And so we're gradually making improvements to our system. We will continue to do that. The challenge that we have over in areas near the lagoon is if there's a whole lot of private laterals that have a lot of cracks and leaks in them. And I think that's the challenge with that area, that there's a lot of settlement that happens out there. And so some of those pipes end up having a lot of cracks and breaks. And so it's something that we want to continue tackling, but we haven't been able to find like a clear source of something that we could shut off in terms of getting that salinity down.
Great. Well, thank you for all the follow-up and the hard work. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Hedges, you had a question.
Yes, thank you. And I was happy with your question about what's happening with the runoff over by the fairgrounds. I don't think we've had any sewer water popping up on Delaware this year. I think it's successful, correct? Yeah, because it's not only his district, but it flows into the creeks and it comes into the lagoon and comes over to the district I'm in. Just a question about financing. The months that that are figured for the money we pay every year for the sewer plant is figured in the rainy months. And I think it's 4 months, right, that's taken from on our water bills? Yeah. So we don't have water meters where I live, so I have a view of actually what 312 units pay. And 2 years ago, it was about $1,200 a piece. So that's a total of close to $400,000. This year, my water bill, or the bill I had based on my water use or our overall water use, was down $200 on everybody's tax bill. So we brought in about $60,000 to $70,000 less in tax money for this. So I guess what I know what I'm asking is, how are we setting overall by the time this is completed to actually pay for it? Because it looks like we're in for another, and this is just 312 units in one location. It's a $60,000 to $70,000 drop in income. It looks like we're headed for another year during the time when we're sampling how much water we're using to use a lot less water for irrigation. So how are we actually fixed in the long term to pay for this? Is this going to be adequate?
Yeah. As Derek said, the staff brought to you last year a 5-year rate increase of 3% per year. So, and having gone through rate increases here in the past and using the consultants that we have, they're very good at foreseeing some of those effects that can take place, like a residential potentially saving on water usage, right, which is what you're referring to, and so the sewer bills go down. So I think we've taken likely into account some of that, and we anticipate that the 3% per year will be adequate for the 5-year period.
Very good. We've got an award for our water reduction from Estero. So there's a lot of us that are really trying to conserve water, which affects the amount of money that comes in.
And I'll just add that, to address that issue, we did restructure our sewer rates so that we weren't just based on only usage. So we have part of our rate now is that it's a fixed fee so that we don't run into that issue, and then part of the rate is based on usage. And so that's part of what Brad was saying, that our consultants helped us figure out that, because this is an issue statewide, that as we go with more and more conservation, you start losing more and more revenue in terms of your sewer system. And so shifting over to a combined, and Derek could probably explain it better than I am, but having it, part of it be sort of a fixed fee versus part of it being based on usage.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, if I could supplement some information there. So I believe prior to 2017, 2018, when we restructured the framework of the fee to introduce a fixed fee component, we were 100% volumetric, and the fiscal year prior to establishing that 5-year increase, I believe we raised rates 36% because everyone's water usage dropped down significantly because we were in a drought, and so in order to catch the revenue back up, we had our rate consultant identified a 36% volumetric-based rate increase. Shortly after that, a year later, this is when he recommended to introduce a 50% fixed fee component, which we are still under.
Our rates went up with a star of 28% in 13 months, so, we're pretty much on the same with our water usage. That's it for me.
Thank you very much. And no questions from me, so why don't we open it up for public comment?
I have no speaker slips and no hands raised.
All right, well then let's bring it back and close public comment and bring it back to the council for
I'd like
discussion.
to make a motion.
Second.
Then I think we have a motion, a second. Please call the roll.
Do you want me to read? Okay, I'd like to make a motion for staff recommendation.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Hedges?
Yes.
Councilmember Lorraine?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Newsom?
Yes.
Mayor Diaz-Nash?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. Thanks, guys.
All right, moving on. We are going to have a presentation on animal control amendments, ordinance introduction by our own Glenn Teixeira, our lieutenant from the police department. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Teixeira.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council, and city staff. My name is Glenn Teixeira. I'm a lieutenant with the police department, and tonight I'm here to talk to you about a proposed amendment for animal control. So with that, San Mateo Municipal Code Chapter 8.02 contains regulations regarding animal control in the city of San Mateo. Staff wishes to continue to partner with the county for animal control services, and we'll be recommending making amendments to correspond with those recently adopted by our county. There are a few key provisions that I'm going to be covering tonight. One will be updating existing definitions to improve enforcement capabilities and remove potential areas of confusion, particularly as it relates to the definitions with dangerous and vicious animal designations. Two, talking about lowering the rabies vaccination age requirement. 3, updating language and enforcement regarding vicious animals. Updating language and enforcement regarding dangerous animals. Removing language within the current ordinance requiring owners not maintain dangerous animals in a home where juveniles reside, and then revising and updating our fee schedule. So with that, I'll move on to my slide. There we go. Just a brief background. So animal control is one of the longest running regional shared services that we have here in San Mateo County. Since 1952, San Mateo County has contracted with the Peninsula Humane Society for animal control sheltering services. All 20 cities in the county contract with San Mateo County for animal control services. This contract includes an expectation that each city will adopt and maintain a similar ordinance. Recently, a multi-city team of representatives have been working to craft a county animal control ordinance that would serve all jurisdictions. The purpose for me being here tonight is our staff wishes to introduce an ordinance to amend the San Mateo Municipal Code, Chapter 8.02, to provide clarity and definitions and streamline the process. So the revised ordinance will streamline the process, improve enforceability, and provide standardized definitions and fees across all jurisdictions in the county. The emphasis recently was on increasing efficiency in enforcement, clarifying language, and addressing shortfalls that were inevitably coming up. The ordinance revisions were adopted by the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors in December of 2023. Therefore, our staff wishes to continue to partner with the county for animal control and recommends making the amendments to correspond with those recently adopted by the county. I would like to specifically address a few of the changes that will be happening that I previously spoke of. So first, I wanted to show our dangerous animal. This is our current definition as it reads in our ordinance. A dangerous animal means any animal except a trained dog assisting a peace officer engaged in law enforcement duties, which, because of its disposition, behavior, training, or other characteristic, constitutes a danger to persons or property, or which demonstrates any or all of the following behavior. It's 1. It's any attack or other behavior which requires a defensive action by any person to prevent bodily injury or property damage, or that results in an injury to a person or property. 2, any aggressive attack or other behavior that constitutes a substantial threat of bodily harm to a person or animal where such an attack, injury, or behavior occurs in a place where such person or animal is conducting himself or herself peacefully and lawfully. 3, an attack on another animal or livestock which occurs off the property of the owner of the attacking animal. And 4, any animal that has been deemed by another governmental jurisdiction as potentially dangerous, vicious, or any other similar designation. In a new proposed ordinance, the dangerous animal proposed code language would read, any animal except a trained animal assisting a peace officer engaged in law enforcement duties that constitutes a danger to persons or animals and or demonstrates any of the following behavior. 1, behavior that results in bodily harm that is less serious than a severe injury or constitutes a substantial threat of bodily harm to a person. Or 2, an attack on another animal which results in injury that is sufficient to require veterinary care even if not received. So this is just a cleanup of the language. And what that really means for us is the proposed revision clarifies the threshold for when an animal can be designated as dangerous. Currently, a dangerous animal designation remains for the life of the animal. Under the proposed revisions, an owner may apply for the designation to be lifted after a period of 3 years. If the animal has been safely maintained under the permit, removing the need for county oversight enforcement. During the study, the animal control program manager had found that most animals deemed dangerous, approximately 90% of them, do not reoffend. Lifting the designations for animals no longer deemed a danger is consistent with other jurisdiction. It also complies with state recommendations under the California Food and Agricultural Code and updates definitions to improve enforcement and remove areas of confusion. Moving on, within that you would see the severe injury definition. Currently it reads in our ordinance, any physical injury directly caused by an animal attack that consists of muscle tears, multiple punctures, broken bones, or disfiguring lacerations, or which require multiple sutures or corrective or cosmetic surgery. The proposed new language for severe injury would read, any physical injury to a human caused by an animal attack that involves tooth-derived muscle tears, disfiguring wounds or lacerations, multiple bites requiring sutures, broken bones, and or requires corrective surgery. So again, this is just a language cleanup for us. Moving on to the vicious animal, the current definition means any animal except a trained dog assisting peace officer engaged in a law enforcement duty which meets any or all of the following criteria. 1, any animal previously designated as dangerous that after an investigation by an animal control officer and/or peace officer is found under conditions which constitute a violation of this chapter or applicable dangerous animal permit and which demonstrates a significant danger to the public health or safety. 2, any animal seized under Section 599 AA of the Penal Code and/or upon the sustaining of a conviction of the owner or caretaker under Subdivision A of Section 597.5 of the Penal Code. 3, any animal which inflicts severe injury on or kills a human being or another animal. 4, any animal which is engaged in any aggressive behavior which demonstrates that the animal represents a clear and present substantial danger to the public health or safety, and that due to substantial risk to the public health or safety, it is unlikely that the animal could be maintained under a dangerous animal permit. Under the proposed amendment, it would now read, any animal except a trained animal assisting a peace officer engaged in law enforcement duties which meets any or all of the following criteria. 1, any animal at the time of the attack is already designated as a dangerous animal and/or is the subject of a dangerous animal permit and which is found to have engaged in any of the following. A, behavior that results in bodily harm or constitutes a substantial threat of bodily harm to a person, or B, an attack on another animal which results in an injury that is sufficient to require veterinary care, whether or not received. 2, any animal that inflicts severe injury to or kills a person. And this is continued. Section 3, any animal which cannot be safely maintained with a dangerous animal permit. 4, any animal designated by another governmental jurisdiction as dangerous, vicious, or any other similar designation if that prior designation is based on behavior which would meet the definition of a vicious animal under this chapter as determined by an animal control officer. An animal which has been declared by an out of this county jurisdiction as potentially dangerous, vicious, or any other designation may be deemed a dangerous or vicious animal for the purposes of this chapter as determined by an animal control officer. So what that means for us is any animal designated as vicious is in many circumstances to be humanely euthanized. The proposed code will raise the threshold for when an animal may be declared vicious and thus is to be euthanized, and is consistent with current standards and practical enforcement. For offending animals deemed a significant danger to the public, a vicious animal designation is still applicable. Regarding rabies vaccinations, our current definition is every dog or cat owner after his or her dog or cat attains the age of 4 months of age and/or within 10 working days of purchasing a license shall procure from a licensed veterinarian an anti-rabies vaccination to be administered in a manner prescribed or approved by the State of California Department of Public Health. This vaccination shall be obtained prior to issuing a license for the dog or cat. In addition, proof of vaccination shall be provided to the licensing program. Under the proposed amendment, the language would now read, every dog or cat owner shall ensure their animal is vaccinated for rabies by a licensed veterinarian in the manner prescribed or approved by the state law and the State of California after the dog or cat attains the age of 3 months of age and within 10 calendar days of acquiring an unvaccinated animal. The vaccination shall be obtained prior to issuing a license for the dog or cat. In addition, proof of vaccination shall be provided by the owner or veterinarian to the licensing program or county's animal control contractor. B, every veterinarian who vaccinates or causes or directs to be vaccinated in the county any dog or cat with rabies vaccine shall certify that such animal has been vaccinated. Every veterinarian shall submit to the licensing authority a copy of the county-approved rabies vaccination form within 10 calendar days at the beginning of each month. For any dog or cat which they vaccinate or direct to be vaccinated with anti-rabies during the previous month. An animal control officer or animal licensing staff shall have the right to inspect records of rabies vaccinations during normal business hours. C, upon receipt of a written request from a licensed veterinarian to exempt a microchip pet from receiving a 1 or 3 year vaccination for medical reasons, the county health officer and/or designee shall review the basis for the request for exemption and/or approve or deny said request. Essentially, what the proposed code means for us is we are lowering the rabies vaccination age requirement, and that would be consistent with current state law. The one other item is within dangerous animal requirements for section 802120, subsection M. Currently reads, an owner shall not allow any animal designated dangerous as a result of aggression against humans to be kept on property or within a household in which a juvenile person under the age of 18 resides. Under the proposed amendment, that section would be removed, removing the language indicating that the animal owner may not maintain the animal in the home with a juvenile person. During the session, the committee could not find any other jurisdiction that had this restriction in an ordinance and is not aware of any instance in which it actually improved public safety or in which it was enforceable. And last, there will be some proposed language updating the fee schedule. It revises and updates the fee schedule for consistency across all agency and clarifies the offenses for which administrative citations may be issued for violations. We don't actually set any fees here with the city of San Mateo. These are all issued and set by the county. We would just be adopting their fee schedule. So overall, a recommendation would be to introduce an ordinance to amend San Mateo Municipal Code, Chapter 8.02, Animal Control, to provide clarity and definitions and streamline our process. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Teixeira. Much appreciate that. Let's open up for questions from the council. Does anyone have a question? No? Okay, well, yes. Okay, Councilmember Lorraine.
Thank you, through the mayor. Lieutenant Teixeira, thank you for your presentation. I was just curious if you happen to have a sense of about how many dangerous and vicious animals the city has encountered, over the last year or two, and I guess I would be using the definitions under the current code.
I don't know how many we've encountered. My experience, I haven't come across, well, at least I haven't been duty chief. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, we can jump in. We get a quarterly report of the number of dangerous animals and where they're located, obviously for safety reasons. And that number is usually between 9 and 13, something like that on average. We get that information every 4 to 6 months.
Excellent. I think that's helpful. And I have no further questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Hedges.
Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Just want to clarify, so when you have one attack which is considered vicious, they're put on notice that they have a vicious animal and it has to be restrained?
The tag for dangerous would be more of the notification. Once an animal is deemed dangerous, if there's another act and they get the tag or the label of vicious, that's when there may be further action.
Yeah, LA has a 2-bite.
Yeah.
I experienced that because my wife was attacked by a dog there. Yeah. So, okay. I think this is actually a fairly liberal ordinance.
Yeah, overall, this is just aligning language so that all 20 cities within the county essentially have the same ordinance, and that it's more easily enforceable by county.
I agree. We're one county. We should do it that way.
And if I could jump in, just from a matter of housekeeping, this is actually a requirement of the city. If we wanted to continue to have the county provide enforcement services to the city, we have to mirror their language. So that's why we're before you today.
Yeah, that's good.
Great. Thank you. Is there any public comment?
I have no in-house speakers and no hands raised.
All right, thank you very much. We'll close public comment. Yes, I'd like a motion.
I move that we introduce an ordinance to amend the San Mateo Municipal Code, Chapter 8.02, Animal Control, to provide clarity and definitions and streamline process.
Second.
Councilmember Hedges.
Yes.
Councilmember Lee.
Yes.
Councilmember Lorraine.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Newsom.
Yes.
Mayor Diaz-Nash.
Yes,
Motion carries 5-0.
thank you very much. All right, now the next item on the agenda will be a closed session on city attorney compensation. Before we move into closed session, Madam Clerk, have we received any questions for public comment on this item?
No, we have not.
All right, thank you. Then we will adjourn for a moment and come back after our discussion. All right, well, the council has come to an agreement, and I have a resolution to read. Okay? Adjusting compensation for the city attorney and approving amendment number 1 to the city attorney employment agreement. Whereas on August 21st, 2023, the city council considered the performance of the city attorney, and whereas the performance of the city attorney meets or exceeds all expectations, and whereas San Mateo City Charter Section 4.02 provides that salary shall be fixed by resolution. Now therefore, the City Council of the City of San Mateo, California hereby resolves that number 1, the proposed employment agreement amendment and compensation adjustment is not a project subject to CEQA because it is an organizational or administrative activity that will not result in direct or indirect physical changes in the environment. CEQA Guidelines Section 15378B5. The monthly salary for the city attorney is established to be $23,750 as of February 5th, 2024, which reflects a 7.5% increase and shall be adjusted to be $25,194 as of February 3rd, 2025, which reflects a 6.1% increase. The monthly salary of the city attorney also may be subject to cost of living adjustment, in parentheses, COLA, pursuant to the terms of Amendment Number 1 of the City Attorney Employment Agreement. The council authorizes the mayor to sign Amendment Number 1 to the City Attorney Employment Agreement.
Move approval?
Second.
First of all, we have no public comment. Just
Oh, okay.
okay. So, motion was.
Move approval, Rich Hedges.
Okay.
There's the second.
I believe we want to also do the contract amendment in the same motion.
In the same motion? Okay, we can certainly do that. Contract amendment, number 1 to the City Attorney Employment Agreement. This amendment number 1 to the City Attorney Employment Agreement is entered into as of February 5th, 2024, by and between the City of San Mateo City Municipal Corporation of the State of California and Persona Recia, collectively the parties.
Through the mayor. So you don't need to read the whole contract
Just
amendment.
just
I think
section?
you can just identify the blanks in the contract amendment and how they're to be filled in.
Okay, so city agrees to pay the city attorney $285,000 in salary per annum for his services, payable in installments at the same time as other employees of the city are paid, and subject to customary withholding. Hereafter, the city attorney shall receive the cost of living adjustment, COLA, approved by the city council in the same amount and at the same time as they are approved for unrepresented department heads. Effective February 3rd, 2025, the salary per annum shall be increased to $302,328 plus any COLA increase approved in the interim.
And Rich, was that a motion to approve the amended contract?
Yes.
And this
Yes, for both.
negotiated salary? Okay.
Second.
Councilmember Hedges.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Newsom.
Yes.
Councilmember Lee.
Yes.
Councilmember Lorraine.
Yes.
Mayor Diaz-Nash.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you to the council. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're moving on to our last reports and announcements. So are there any reports and announcements to be made? Councilmember Lorraine.
Sure, I can give a quick report that since our last meeting, I have attended some meetings with Rethink Waste Board, Peninsula Clean Energy Board, and I had the privilege to participate in the one-day homeless count that the county conducted, this biennial count. This was my first opportunity, or rather the first opportunity I took with the county. And We had folks here in City Hall at 5 in the morning, including Jackie Vu and Nikki Vu. It was Nikki Vu and other city staff who were here to open up conference room C for people to come in and get assignments for census tracts in our city. And it's a very important effort. It helps us understand just how many people may be needing shelter in our city, and of course more broadly in the county. And those counts can help inform programs and how much funding those programs can get. It was a humbling experience, but I was glad to do it, and I was glad to do it with a number of other volunteers in our city and the county, and thanks to our county's Human Services Agency for extra help on that. I also just wanted to mention that in the Peninsula Clean Energy Board meeting, the board decided to hold off on increasing fees related to service, which was a departure from previous cost adjustments that had been made over the years. Typically, every year, the Peninsula Clean Energy would wait 1 month after PG&E would adjust its fees for the year, and then try to calibrate it such that Peninsula Clean Energy rates would be 5% underneath those rates. But the rate increases this time around were much higher than normal. It was something around 15% or more, and I think we've heard from members of the public to this end, and I just commend the board members of Peninsula Clean Energy for working with staff and agreeing to refrain from a similar fee adjustment, and instead taking more of reserves and avoiding an increase at this time, given that PG&E increases still affect Peninsula Clean Energy customers. So they already had a certain amount that was increased, and in the times we're living in, holding off when we can is important. I think that it reflects some of what this council has been striving for with its fee increases. So those are my reports.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Hedges.
That was a very comprehensive report. Most of my outside assignments were canceled except for ABAG. I went to Caltrain to go to the ABAG meeting, and they were 90 minutes late. And so I gave up and went home. I didn't make it.
All right. Councilmember Lee, any comment? No? Okay. Oh, hold on.
The Lunar New Year celebration that I attended was so great, and I know that you were there, Rob.
Yes, yes. And we hope that becomes an annual tradition as well. So I have 2 items. Number 1, I represented the city of San Mateo at our Congressman Kevin Mullins' Coffee with Council, where representatives from all the various cities in his district came and shared their priority needs with him, and he shared what he's been doing in Congress with us. And I found it particularly interesting that the great separations was of common interest up and down the table. So obviously that is something that we're going to be working on together, and he took note. And then the other thing that was particularly interesting was how many people came up to me and asked, how did the flood-free initiative pass in San Mateo? We want to do the same thing. So I would imagine there's going to be a lot of inquiry, but hats off to the community for doing that. Excuse me. And then the second thing I just wanted to announce was, as part of our work to prepare for the November 2024 elections, City Council will be forming a subcommittee to deal with any proposed charter amendments, and the subcommittee is going to be made up of myself, the mayor, and council member Adam Lorraine. And that's it.
Mayor, for a point of clarity, I would say the committee will give input for charter amendments and Measure Y.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, my good council member colleague, what a good man. Let me extend an invitation to everyone far and wide to come to the State of the City address that will be held on Monday, February 12th. Doors open at 6:30. The program begins at 7 in the Oak Room at the City Library. Go to the city website to register, and please join us to find out about all the great accomplishments of the city in 2023 and our key initiatives of 2024. Did you want to say something, City Manager?
Yeah, and 2 items actually to update the council and the community on. One is we're excited on February 12th. It'll be the grand opening of the Kiku parking garage that'll provide over 500 new parking spaces, and it'll also be parking for the affordable housing units right across the street as well. So we're really excited about that project coming to fruition. The second item is I just want to thank our public works staff, our police staff, our fire staff, just the entire team over the weekend, making sure to keep our community safe and responding to calls throughout the weekend with the high rains and winds at the same time. So just my gratitude to our entire amazing staff team.
I think we will join you in that expression of gratitude. So are there any other reports and announcements? If not, I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.